Hello, world, and welcome to Ear to the Streets. This is an update on the Trump Venezuelan situation, and we're going to just see how the internet has reacted to this. And we have some updates that you might have never heard before, so just stay tuned to the end, and I guarantee you'll hear something you never thought of. Let's begin.
Were you listening when Donald Trump said this?
Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have.
It sounds like what he's saying is the United States has the capability of turning off the lights for 1.9 million people in a large Latin American country like that. And of course, I wouldn't believe it if there wasn't a video.
Y después van hacia arriba, ¿sí? Si es por parte de su madre o parte... boludo, se cortó la luz.
What this tells me is Nicolas Maduro was literally in the dark in his fortress. He probably couldn't find his way to the safe room without lights. It's also why he probably wasn't able to close it. He was feeling around, probably looking for the lever to pull it closed. Couldn't find it.
Sí, sí.
Después van hacia arriba, ¿sí? Si es por parte de su madre o parte... boludo, se cortó la luz.
You all heard that rumbling in the sky. I have another video on this channel if you want to check it out. But you all heard that rumbling in the sky, right? Sometimes I'm thinking, maybe that's just how they hide, helicopters or hide, the sound of things by using fighter jets to, make a rumble in the sky.
Mira, pero ven acá, no se metan para acá, no saben lo que hay ahí que se queda pegado. Sí.
Amor. Ay, no. Mira eso. Mira eso.
How would you feel if you just looked up at 2 o'clock in the morning and seen Apache helicopters just gliding through after all the lights went off? When I played Command and Conquer as a kid, it's a game on PlayStation. You can do this thing called like a EMF or EMT. I forgot what it's called exactly, but it's like a bomb that you can drop that shuts off their power for a short amount of time. And I always thought, that's an interesting capability to have. But I think we have that capability.
Locura. Moscaí. Mira esa mierda, explotaron allá toda esa mierda, porque tú no estás explotando.
Marico, se prendió el peo en esta mierda, ¿oyó?
Mamá, huevo, ¿qué mierda es esta?
Did you know that everything that's happening in Caracas, Venezuela was already foretold to us? In this Call of Duty, the United States sent special forces in order to take over the dictator of Venezuela.
See, I'm not trying to sound crazy. It was in video games. That's why I was like, my version was Command and Conquer. But let me hear him out.
Caracas, Venezuela to be exact. But this is where it gets crazy. Pay attention. This Call of Duty came out 12 years ago. You want to know what else happened 12 years ago? Nicolas Maduro started his presidency 12 years ago. Look at the opening scene to the final act.
To us, Rourke was a legend. The man could walk through hell.
They based the game 12 years in the past. Is that coincidence? What else is crazy is the similarities between the dictator of the Call of Duty game and Maduro. The dictator in the game is named Diego Almagro. Look at the characteristics that Diego Almagro had in the game. He would torture and imprison US-born individuals. Sounds very similar to Maduro, wouldn't you say? He has been accused of crimes against humanity, including excessive force, arbitrary detentions, torture. Not only did this Call of Duty get the exact timeline down to a T, it also got the exact location, Caracas, Venezuela. I really do hope that people start opening their eyes and realizing that they have to tell us what they do before they do it. These occultists and elites believe if they tell us beforehand what they're doing, they won't pay the price in the afterlife. It's called karmic retribution. This is their belief. Search it up. There is no
time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military working with U.S. law enforcement successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark.
See what I mean? We have that expertise. It used to just be something I could do in a video game. And see, now I'm starting to be like, oh, okay, so some of these video games got a hint of truth to them when I'm playing modern warfare and stuff like that.
And it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom...
The arrest of Nicolas Maduro is the single most impressive special forces operation that's happened in the last 60 years, perhaps ever. You have a communist dictator who's in the single most secure facility in the entire nation. The power gets shut off in the capital city of Caracas. All the power went out. None of the cell phone signals worked, and special forces was able to get inside of that fortress and to kidnap, black bag the communist dictator and his wife without them being able to get to their safe room, and to extract them without losing a single American, or barely even being fired upon. They were able to decimate Venezuela's military, their air defenses, their air force, multiple military bases, and even yeet the tomb of Hugo Chavez on the way out while Maduro watched. And so Donald Trump has every right to have a victory press conference, which he just did. President Trump's victory press conference began with Pete Hegseth saying, if you F around, you're going to find out.
Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
President Trump then had very stern words for other members of Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro's regime, saying, you're next.
All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just, fair, even to their people.
Donald Trump began threatening other members of the sort of communist diaspora of South America, including Colombia.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is
well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Then Donald Trump, of course, coined his own version of the Monroe Doctrine, which is to say that the Monroe Doctrine is named after President Monroe. We should control our own hemisphere, is the Monroe Doctrine, that America should have a hegemony, that we shouldn't allow other foreign nations to control our hemisphere, calling it the Donroe Doctrine. Thing of beauty here.
All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines, And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donroe document. I don't know.
I think it's fair to say that we're back, boys.
Breaking news. The U.S. just declared war on Venezuela. Without actually declaring war at 2 a.m. Saturday, explosions ripped through Caracas. CNN watched fire engulf Fort Tiuna, Venezuela's military command headquarters. U.S. forces hit La Guaira Port, La Carlota Airport, and the Defense Ministry aircraft screamed over the capital. Neighborhoods lost power. Air raid sirens wailed. Trump just bombed a foreign capital's military headquarters without Congress, without a declaration of war, without the UN. He used the same loophole as December 24. CIA operations under Title 50 don't require congressional approval. So technically, the U.S. isn't at war. We're just bombing their defense ministry. At 2 a.m., Maduro declared national emergency and ordered mobilization. Venezuela called it military aggression. Colombia and Cuba demand UN meetings. Here's the insane part. The U.S. killed over 110 people, struck 30-plus boats, bombed ports, and hit military bases, all calling it law enforcement. The FAA banned U.S. aircraft from Venezuelan airspace. That's what you do when you're at war. Trump says this is about fentanyl, but 90% comes from Mexico. We're not bombing Mexican cartels. We're bombing Venezuela's military command. If Russia bombed the Pentagon and called it counterterrorism, we'd call that war. But when the U.S. bombs Fort Tiuna at 2 a.m., it's just operations. Trump started a war in South America without most Americans knowing, and did it legally because bombing another country's defense ministry doesn't count as war if you use the right paperwork.
Like, all the lights are off. Like, I just want to still make note, like, everything is dark.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Chanley Painter, live in New York. Explosions heard in Caracas, Venezuela overnight, and according to eyewitnesses, the southern area of Caracas near a military base is without electricity. Airplanes are also reportedly heard in the skies over the Venezuelan capital, and columns of smoke can be seen in several areas. And according to the Associated Press, at least 7 explosions in low-flying aircraft have been heard. Venezuela's government did not immediately respond to a request for comment. People in various neighborhoods rushed to the streets. Some could be seen in the distance from various areas of Caracas. It follows several months of the U.S. military going after suspected Venezuelan drug boats and the CIA striking a port housing the suspected narco vessels.
Like, look how high they're shooting from. They're shooting from right here in the clouds, like way up here.
All the American people, thanks for the concern. However, as a Venezuelan person, and I'm representing a lot of Venezuelans when I say this, we are totally fine with what's going on. Wait, well, they're gonna take your resources. That's totally fine, bro. We've never had them. The mafia, the narco state, the terrorist that has controlled our country for 25 years has had all those resources under control. It hasn't.
You know, I'm surprised. I thought people would be a little bit more upset.
Given anything to the people. Why do you think it takes 5 hours to fill up your tank in Venezuela? Even though we're the richest country when it comes to petroleum, gold, and diamonds. Because the government has taken it all for themselves to fund child pornography, to fund child trafficking, to fund drug trafficking, to fund terrorism in the Middle East. Everything else that you could think that they could possibly do, they've done it with that money from the petroleum and all of that. We are totally aware of what Donald Trump is doing. We know he's not doing it for faith of heart. We know he's not doing it for love. We know he's not doing it because he wants to.
I didn't know about those things, but what I do know is like apparently Venezuela has a infrastructure problem where the oil that they have is too, like, I guess too difficult for them to extract. They have a whole bunch of it, like they're sitting on a mountain of gold. They have a whole bunch of it, but their maintenance, or they don't have the money to like upkeep the maintenance to extract it, or they need like other types of oil to make it thinner so they can extract it. So they just have a big problem. And then next door, I believe the country next door to them just got a whole bunch of good oil like off the shore, and so Venezuela is also trying to like take that country right next to it. I forgot what it's called, but it's right next to their country, and it could be about oil also, like oil production. So that's just what I've heard. You know, this is for educational purposes only. This is for entertainment and research purposes.
Save us. We know he's doing it for his own benefits, for the country's benefits, for America's benefits. I live in America, but I am a Venezuelan. And I will tell you, I would hope it was for love. But it isn't. And you know why that's fine? Because the Venezuelan people have never had anything of what Donald Trump is about to take. So how can you be so concerned about something you've never owned when they're going to take it? We're not. Nicolás Maduro has been captured last night. Well, this morning. As soon as Diosdado Cabello, Delcy Rodriguez, and Padrino Lopez get captured, Donald Trump has the right to take everything he wants from Venezuela, and he has the right to be called the liberator of Venezuela. I don't give a fuck who the guy is, I know what the guy has done, but as a Venezuelan person, aside from everything bad that he has done, he's the only man with balls that has stepped up to the Venezuelan regime and actually done something. Nobody has done anything. They've been bluffing and bluffing and bluffing.
I don't know, this is what I think, just hear me out. The country right next to them, the American country, like the American oil companies, just found a whole bunch of good usable oil. Venezuela's trying to take that from them. America's like, you're not going to take it from them. You know, I don't know. There's a lot of angles, a lot of different ways that this could be going.
This is the man who took action against the mafia that has killed members of my family, members of my friends' families, and a lot of people in Venezuela for 25 years. And today, January 3rd, 2026, it's looking like it's about to be over. So thank you, Donald Trump. You were on my naughty list. No, you're good. You're good. No, you're good, my guy. Yeah, this is how we feel about it.
Okay, so Donald Trump and the US have just announced that they have carried out some massive military strikes on Venezuela. Oh, baby.
Yes, this was all for entertainment. And that was today's video. If you guys like videos like this where we, you know, check updates on trends and dive through mysterious happenings, I guess you could say, then sub up, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.